Rev up your engines!
Artie123 says, 2019 Mustang Owner's Manual says to change the automatic transmission fluid every 150,000 miles. Are they trying to ruin it? What mileage should I change it? You don't flush it. You ask you change it, flush it. No, don't flush it. Just change it. And me, I change it every 50, 60,000 miles. Because look, they're saying change it every 150,000 miles. Ask them what the warranty on the transmission is. And I guarantee it's nowhere near 150,000 miles. So, saying something like that, yeah, you just want to change it every 50, 60,000 miles. And you just drain and fill. You don't flush. Flushing can cause problems. But if you just drain and fill it, do it every 50, 60,000 miles. Everybody's into this planned obsolescence nowadays that they say things are going to last forever. But they say it's going to last almost forever. But the guarantee is gone long before that. So they're saying one thing, but anybody can see it doesn't make any sense at all. It'd be like somebody selling you a house and saying, oh, you never have to change the roof on that house for 50 years. Well, what's the guarantee on it? Well, the guarantee is 20 years. Hamid says, Scotty, I noticed this crack in my tire. It's got a big crack about this long right under the sides. Does the tire need to be changed, or can I drive with it? Definitely change it. Those are age wears. Your tire is cracking because it's just starting to come apart. UV rays of the sun eventually destroy all rubber products. That's just how it goes. And that one is starting to go out. It's dangerous to drive with cracked tires. It's a car you're going to keep. Just buy tires. Look at all the other tires too, because if they're all the same age and they're all cracking, replace them all. Don't just go and change one of them, because if they're all old, they're all going to have the same amount of crackiness inside. It's dangerous. So you definitely want to get a new tire, but look at them all. If you plan on keeping the car and they're all cracked, get rid of them all. If they've all been bought at the same time, they're all the same age. Now, on the other hand, if you buy tires one at a time and some of them are older and some of them are newer, you can just go buy the older ones and leave the newer ones on. But you don't want to drive a car like that. That just means that the tire is at the end of its lifespan. You want to get rid of it before something serious happens, like you get a blowout going 70 miles an hour. Orange Oratory, ask Scotty, I want to buy a 06 Mitsubishi Eclipse with 130,000 miles. It looks nice, has tinted windows, tail lights, two 10-inch subwoofers. Well, you don't buy a car because of the noise that's coming out of the stereo. You can always add that on later. Mitsubishis don't hold up like Toyotas or Hondas. That kind of mileage, especially if it has an automatic transmission, if you like the car and it runs good and shifts good and the mechanic says it's okay, don't pay much for it, because they're cheaply made cars, and as they age, they're not worth that much money. I've had customers buy them and get a few years out of them, only when the engines and transmissions were okay when they bought them, and realize that's not something that's going to go 250, 300,000 miles like a Toyota. 130,000 miles is often pretty much it if it's an automatic transmission. Now, on the other hand, if it's a standard transmission, it might last quite some time. But if it's an automatic, it's getting near the end of its lifespan. So if you want to buy it, don't pay much for it, because it's probably not going to last all that much longer. And putting an automatic transmission in one of those things is going to cost you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to do it correctly. So AA0712 says, Scotty, will your engine mess up if you drive on blown heads? Supposedly a mechanic said they're blown, but it doesn't show any symptoms on a Chrysler 300. The chemical test passed clean in June and August. Well, they're not blown. If they're really blown, a test would show that they were blown. Let's say it's just starting to go. It's a 2010, so it's a 10-year-old Chrysler. And those 300 engines are notorious for having problems as they age. They're great when they're new, but as they age, they can have problems. If you have no symptoms, no water in the oil, no oil in the water, it runs fine, it doesn't smoke, and the test shows it's not blown, go ahead and drive it. It's not going to hurt anything. Your head gaskets are starting to blow, and they're really going bad. It's going to run like crap anyways, and you'd notice it. So if it's not doing that, go ahead and drive it. When they really start to go and you get water and oil in the water, of course it's going to ruin the engine. But then you got to decide, do you really want to rebuild the engine or just get rid of the car? Most people on those things, a 10-year-old 300 is worth nothing. You just get rid of the car. It wouldn't be worth fixing the engine. It cost a fortune to rebuild it. It'd be 2 to 3 times the value of the car. So I'd just get rid of it then. But if it runs fine, just keep driving the stupid thing. Eddie262 says, Scotty, I got a car with a CVT as a check engine light. I drive, the RPMs go up, and it doesn't accelerate. You want to pray that it's just the torque converter clutch solenoid going bad. Sometimes those electric solenoids go bad. They'll trip that code and they'll do exactly what yours is doing. You want to pray that it's not inside the transmission or the torque converter, which is going to require removing the transmission and replacing some very expensive parts or rebuilding the transmission. Pray it's a torque converter clutch solenoid. I would just say change that out and see what happens, and pray that fixes it, because if it doesn't, you're looking at a gigantic expense on that CVT transmission. That's one reason I tell people not to buy the CVTs. They still haven't perfected the things yet. They're still working on it. Maybe one day they'll have them just as reliable as the old 4-speed Toyota transmissions, but they aren't yet. Tie 1973. I'm thinking about buying a 2002 Camaro Z28 with over 200,000 miles. Runs good. Interior needs minor work. Outside's great. For $5,000, what do you think? Don't throw money away on that thing. That thing would even be worth $5,000 if it was in sharing condition and there was nothing wrong with it with that kind of mileage on it. First 100,000, they can be decent cars, fun to drive. But over 200,000 miles on it, it's a money pit waiting for you to throw your money into it. And it's 18 years old. That's the type of car that if you could pick it up for nothing, $1,000, $1,500, and you wanted to do it over as a project car, and you knew I'm going to put $20,000 into this, and you're happy with it, you could go right ahead. But buying it for that kind of money, especially if you think you're just going to drive the thing around, it'd be stupid. Like I say, if you want a project car, buy one that's cheaper. $5,000 is way too much for the mileage in the year to begin with, and then if it needs interior work, it's worth even less money. Let somebody else buy it. Don't put your money into that thing. Johnny Mac says, Scotty, I watch your video. It'll save your life. What do you think of these new disc-looking LED flares? Well, that's fascinating because the company just sent me 2 boxes of those things, and I gotta say, they are fantastic. Are you going to miss this on the road? Even in the daytime, you're going to see this stuff. And of course, they got a zillion other things they do than just this one. But you are not going to miss this thing. They really work quite well. See, they do all kinds of crazy things. Nobody's going to miss this stuff. And yeah, they're a great idea. People come up with great ideas all the time. And I'm all for that. It's a very good safety thing. People are not going to miss it in the night or the daytime. I've done ones in the past on ones that I liked, but truthfully, they weren't as bright as this thing. In the daytime, they weren't as easy to see. This thing, in the daytime, you can see it, obviously, and at night, nobody's going to miss that thing. You got 2 cars, buy a couple of them, throw one in each glove box. They're not that big, they'll fit in a glove box. And if there is an emergency, hey, and let's say something really bad happened, you got off the road and you're on a ditch or something, if it's in a glove box and you can reach it, hey, people are going to see this lights coming out of the ditch and you're going to be found a lot faster. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.